Hello, and welcome to Horror Movies and Shit. I'm your host, Jim, and with me as always is...
Resistance is futile. I am Bork.
So
Maybe it's
Jim, that was a Star Trek reference. I know you don't watch that. So.
I know who the Borg is. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
I thought you
with
said
us...
Mork. I thought we were talking about Robin Williams over here.
That's an option. So with us today we have Chisto Healy. Chisto, how are you?
Yeah.
I am pronouncing your name right?
Yes, you are.
Okay,
You are.
fantastic.
I'll drink to
We will be drinking most of the evening.
that. Yeah, I'm doing well. Anytime I've got Jameson and football in the background, I'm doing well. So
That's fantastic. Mark, how about you? How are you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm back from Hallow Scream, Jim.
Well, we've already discussed my adventure to Hallow Scream. I hope yours was not as eventful.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, like I went with my wife, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she gets jumpy as we go through the houses and stuff. But I'm sorry, I'm just so desensitized about horror and jump scares and stuff. I just walk through them and just kind of laugh at them. That's cool. That's cool. But it was fine. Yeah.
they're not
Awesome.
very good jump scares then.
No, not really.
Well, no, everybody around me was screaming. Like in one of the houses, we tried to get away from them. Like a group of probably 5 or 6. They were probably 14, 15-year-old girls. And they were just screaming at everything. And they were screaming before they went in. It's just like, oh my fucking God. And then the next house we went in, it was an older guys in front of us with their wives or whatever. And one of the guys was absolutely fucking hammered. And he's all like, "Brr, brr, brr, brr." I'm like, okay, dude, like, don't talk to me. I don't like talking to strangers. So we were trying to get them to go forward, but it was a good time.
I love haunted attractions, and normally I just go and have a blast, especially if I'm with people who scream, because
Right.
that to me is just super fun. But there was one time when I was younger, um, it got me good. I'm deathly afraid of clowns, like petrified. To me, there's no such thing as a not scary clown. You know, they're all horrifying. And we went to this haunted house. It was actually in a Nathan's restaurant, and they had a sign that was like, it was like Bobo's Clowns or something's haunted house, and I was like, oh no, I'm not going in. And my friends were like, no, he's just the host. It's just his. There's no clowns inside. We win already. And then we get in and we get to this one room that's like the clown room. And there's like just 15 dead clowns in all different ways. One is hanging from a noose, one's on a bed impaled on something. They're all over the place. And I was like, what the hell? And then at the end of the room, one of the clowns steps out from the shadows and then walks back. And I was like, no, that one's alive. I'm done. And they're like, no, you gotta go because there's people behind us and there's no other way. So my friend shoved me from behind, and I stumbled forward and actually tripped over something and fell. And when I fell, I looked over, and the living clown decided to get down on the ground to be on eye level with me and then start crawling towards me.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'd start kicking like I was in a horror movie. I was just kicking at his face. I was like, get away from me! Like full on, B movie scream queen. I took off running like a bat out of hell, and they had these walls that were like made out of like black garbage bags, and I couldn't see where I was going because I was in a total state of panic, and I dove and crashed through the wall, and there were people on the stairs waiting to go in, and I came flying through the wall and tumbled down the stairs, and all these people were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't go in there, and turned around and left. It
You
was
were the advert for that house.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
It was not my finest moment,
And that's okay.
or maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends on how you look at it.
So, Kisto, we wanted to talk about you. You have something very special happened to you recently, right?
Uh, recent what? Which thing?
Your
Being
book was just
on
published.
this podcast.
No, no, that's not
This
special, Mark.
podcast is pretty special. I think it's special.
I it's more like being defiled. I don't think it's special.
Being defiled can be special.
Oh, we'll talk
Maybe.
about that later with James.
So you just had a book published, and I know that
Yes.
because I just bought a physical copy of it.
Okay. You. Yes. I mean, I've had many books recently, but yes, that one is definitely special to me, and it's doing really well. So that's it's my only book that's hit number one. So that was
Oh,
pretty exciting. Um,
fantastic!
yeah.
So if you had to
Yeah.
describe this your new book, it's The Gateway in Apartment 8, right?
Yes, which is actually book two in the Sunnycrest Apartment series.
Oh, great! Now I got to go buy another book.
Oh,
um,
I hope you do.
I absolutely will. I promise. But anyway, if you had to describe your book in a short snippet, what would this book be about?
um, there's a girl uh, who her apartment closet is a gateway to 1987, where a serial killer is murdering people and was never caught.
Huh. Okay. That
And
definitely sounds interesting.
yeah, it's a
Is it based on true events?
it yes, no. Um, it's actually a semi autobiographical. No, it's not.
Oh, nice. Okay. Were you?
Actually, I shouldn't say no because like there's little bits of my life and the lives of people I know and care about in literally everything I write. So
Of course.
you know, so
That's fair.
there's some truth sprinkled in everywhere, no matter how ridiculous and fanciful the stories are.
That's awesome. So,
I think so.
when did you first realize you wanted to be a writer?
Oh wow. I was I was 9 years old. It was fourth grade.
Oh.
I was in the bottom bunk, and my older brother was in the top. And I was reading Samurai Cat, which is,
Mm.
and he reached down and took it away from me and said, "It's time for you to read real books by grown-ups." And he gave me a Dean Koontz book, and back then, Dean Koontz was pretty dark.
Yeah.
He was actually classified as horror, I think, and um, I loved it. I devoured it. My
Which
9 year old self went through this like 500-page book, like, and I just immediately was like, "This, I want to do this." And
which book?
um, the first one was actually, I think it was, I think he gave me, um, it was either Watchers or Lightning.
Mm.
Oh, both
Whichever one
fantastic
he gave
books.
me, I followed up myself with the other. So
They're both
it's hard
fantastic
for me to
reads. You can't go
remember.
wrong.
Yeah, they're both great. Lightning's less scary; it's
Hmm.
more, science fiction almost. But
Yeah.
What
and then
what did you
and
think of
then I
the
read
Watchers
Servants of.
movie? Have you seen the Watchers movie?
Yeah, I tried to pretend I didn't, or to forget I did. Not everything Corey Haim did was amazing. Um,
Right.
That's true.
um, but I read Servants of Twilight, and that one, like, really, that was the one of his that really made me uh, like. It was the first thing I read that horrified me. It scared me. I was a
Yeah.
kid, and it's about a kid that may or may not be the Antichrist, and
Yep.
I was like, wow, like books can be scary. I knew movies could be scary. I didn't know books could be scary.
Yeah, I
So,
thought didn't they make a movie of that one too?
They did. It was a
unfortunately,
made for TV
yeah,
movie.
Dean Koontz has really gotten a bad break with movies. Like,
So between you and me, in my opinion, Dean Koontz's movies are only bad if he's involved. He destroys his own source material, and it's so annoying to me.
what
Apart from
what
Phantoms, which is awesome.
what Dean Koontz movie is good?
Um,
Phantoms.
Okay.
That's garbage, Mark. Do not ever say that again.
I love that.
Um,
I was
the
gonna
book
say
is
there are people who like the Phantoms movie. I'm not
the
one of them, but
right. The book is fantastic. The movie is
right, yeah, I
terrible.
love the book.
I,
Yeah,
and to be fair, most people don't like it, but I think just whenever I watched it, it was just in that sweet spot of kind of a monster movie type thing, and it reminded me of Silent Hill a bit, like the game.
Yeah.
I
I love
just
it.
again,
Yeah.
I read the like I really like the book too, but I like the movie. I know it's a bit of a meme now with the whole the bomb.
I will say the movie that I enjoyed very much was Intensity. I thought that made for TV movie was done really well.
Yeah, it was it was at least accurate. I
Yeah.
John
felt,
C. Riley.
Sorry, what, Mark?
but
It's John C. Riley, right? Is that his name? The main guy, the
Mm-mm.
protagonist.
John C. McKinley, I believe.
John C.
Or
McKinley. John
oh
McGinley.
C.
yeah, very different people.
John C. Riley can pull it off too.
Yeah.
Like
I
creepy.
would watch it. I would
Yeah.
definitely watch
That
it.
would be interesting for sure.
I'm sure Will Ferrell would be in there somewhere too.
And then obviously, whenever Hot Tension came out, the
Oh man,
Sandra
that movie.
Aja movie,
I
it's
I
basically a copy of Intensity for most of.
it's brutally a copy of it, and Dean was super pissed, and I don't blame him. Like I was pissed on his behalf. All the people that love that movie, it kind of like makes me want to yell because it
I,
like it's like they read the book and they said, "Oh, I want to make this entire thing except change the end." Like
yeah,
that's all.
Right.
I swear they probably changed the ending just to say, "Hey, we're not copying it."
Yeah.
Although
Right, exactly. It's like the
I think
vanilla ice of movies. Like mine goes boom, 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 ba dum dum. It's different,
Right.
you know.
I think Aja's came out and said, "Well, it is kind of Intensity. That's where he took it from." But
I mean, they even called it high tension. Come on,
exactly,
intensity, high tension. Like
Yeah.
Jesus.
but it is extremely brutal, which I like. But it
I
is
mean, well
basically
done. It was well done, but still, well done plagiarism, still plagiarism.
That's
right.
true. So I have a question for you. What's your favorite part about being an author? What do you like most, whether it's the process or developing the story or whatever? What's your favorite
Um,
part?
I love everything about it except um, marketing.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I love writing. I could just sit and write endlessly for the rest of my life, and I would be the happiest person. Um, and I love planning uh, things. I love getting the covers and dealing with people and publishers and cover artists and editors, and it's all so exciting to me still. And then like interacting with readers and like other authors and like building community. I love all that. It's just having to deal with like mailing lists and websites and social media and like it's that's not that part is just super hard for me with my
So,
ADHD.
so I have always a question if authors on. I'm always super interested. Do you come up with the plot as it goes along, or do you have like an outline of the plot, or do you come up with characters and then put them into a certain situation, or how
I
do you
usually
coming up with a story?
I usually come up with like an I basic premise idea, and then I come up with how I want to end it,
Hmm.
and then I come up with how I want to begin it, and then I just wing it from the beginning to make sure I like see my way to the end. like,
One of those sort of what would happen, like just as like an open thought experiment. What would happen if this started to happen, and then build it from there, or is it
yeah, I mean, well, I get an idea. Um, a lot of times, I work with somebody who will give me an idea for like a title or something, and then I just try to come up with what that story could go with that title, and then or sometimes it's a cover image. I'll get a cover before I even have a story, and then I'll just think of what kind of story I could have with that cover, and then I go, okay, but how's it going to end? Because the ending to me is the most important part. Like, uh, I don't want to, like, if you start from the beginning and you don't know where you're going to end it. A lot of people will, they'll run with it and then they'll go, crap, now what do I do? And then they get stuck, or like the ending falls short, and you've built all this up, and people are disappointed. And if people are disappointed at the ending, it doesn't matter if the first 99% was good. They're gonna leave the book feeling bad.
Yep,
So
that's true.
Well, don't
I
tell Stephen King that. But that's almost like you hear about Hollywood, script writers or movie makers, and you have these pitch men that just go into like studios and say, "Here's an idea for a title. You know, do you want to run with this or no?" And they'll pay them some money for that. Like, okay,
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you. I I have a book that I'm going to write. I have the whole story mapped out. I have the cover, thanks to the amazing Ruth Anna Evans, and it it's called "Gas Mask Jesus and the Army of the Smoked." So this is the first I'm mentioning it. So debuting it here on this podcast.
an exclusive for
Yeah,
our podcast.
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna lie. I am very, very intrigued.
right. Like
I'm
just from the title.
It's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
going into beautiful Christian religious books, so that sounds good.
um, it won't be beautiful or Christian, but it may be religious. Mm.
There you go, Mark.
Um,
Right in your gray area, Mark. Right where you might actually enjoy it.
Well, I
but
mean, Passion of the Christ is one of the best exploitation movies ever made, so
There you go.
can't go wrong with that. There is
So,
Nazi stuff in the Bible, so.
but
so I
that
do have
was
a.
one. That was one where Ruth was like, "I've got this cover for you," and then I was like, "What can I do with that?" And then I was like, "Oh, I have an idea." And then I was gonna call it Smoke, and then she was like, "Oh, I really wanted it to be Gas Mask Jesus," and I said, "Oh, okay, I can do that." And then I came up with a different idea that kind of went with my other idea, and then I was like, "Okay, it's Gas Mask Jesus and the Army of the Smoked." And then she was like, "Yes, I can't wait." So that's next up on my list.
Is
That's
the
awesome.
Army of the Smoke just like a bunch of stoners?
No, it's it's
Religious stoners.
it's gonna be a wild book. It's gonna be I'll say it's gonna be apocalyptic. We'll go there. So,
Mark, he did not use your favorite term.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Mark
what?
Mark has a severe distaste for the term post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there shouldn't be anybody post apocalyptic. Everybody should be dead. So how do you
Well,
make about that?
well,
It's,
the I mean, the point is that the majority is, like
that's pre apocalyptic.
It
I don't know. It's just a joke I make.
is.
Post apocalyptic.
I I made a charity anthology for an author friend of mine that was going through a hard time, and it was called Post Apocalyptic, and it was all stories that had some kind of LGBT protagonist in the apocalypse and had lipstick somewhere in the story,
Huh.
and every author could just do what they want with it, and it was really really cool the way it all came out.
That sounds like it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really was.
So, in your writing process, do you have any weird or odd habits? Like, are there any things that are peculiar that or that you think might be peculiar to somebody else that's involved in the writing process?
I mean, I feel like my existence is an odd habit. So, like, um, I I always had like I have to only do things that fit the vibe of what I'm writing until
Hmm.
my book is finished. So if I'm watching TV, I can only watch stuff that's like the same, or movies, or anything that is in the same vein of what I'm writing to
Are,
keep me in that mindset.
are
Um,
you like a 9 to 5 writer? I know some writers that they get up and it's like a job. They work from 9 to 5 and then they put it
I
away. And then there's other authors that just write during the day and there's no like set schedule.
Well, nowadays I've been doing a lot more during the day. Um, I get to go to like a coffee shop now that my son is in school, and or a bar, and then I just sit and write during the day. Most times, though, I wait until everybody goes to sleep, and then I write in the middle of the night.
That's fair. I mean, I
Uh,
would imagine that getting into that mind frame helps as you get later into the evening. Most people, myself included, tend to freak ourselves out the more noises they hear at night, and I would think that. Do you always write horror, Kisto?
um, no, I also write fantasy, mostly like epic fantasy.
Ah,
Um, I actually have a fantasy book out now, co-written by the incredible Shelley Jarvis. It's called Keeper of the Four Kingdoms, and it's book one of a four-book series. Um,
nice.
and then she and I are also working on two other series, and then I have another fantasy series of my own that was book one was already released, but it's been pulled and it's being reworked and re-released by a different publisher in early 2024. So
Oh, fantastic.
So you've written a number of novels, right? Which one would you say is your favorite?
I hate that question.
Oh, that's right.
Everybody asks that question. That's my
It's
least
picking
favorite.
your favorite child, right?
Yeah, it's like you can't do that. Like they're all special for their own reason, or else you wouldn't write them. I don't know.
So maybe here's a better question if you're struggling with that one. Which one of your books would you like to see made into a movie?
Oh wow.
That might be really difficult.
Honestly, well, here's the thing. Um, if anyone wanted to make any of my books into a movie, I would like shit a litter of kittens. I like that's it's on my bucket list for real. Like it's like my life goal and dream is to have one of my books made
I have
into
a
a movie.
follow-up
Even I
question.
wouldn't even care if it was made into like a Tubi movie,
Right.
like
Doesn't
just
matter.
So so,
yeah.
here, so just a thought experiment. Just pick one of your books. Who would you have direct, and who would you have as your lead actors, if you could pick?
Oh wow.
We ask the difficult questions here on horror
Yeah.
movie.
Well, I will say, fans, readers have been saying for a long time that they really want to see my book, The Bucket List, that I co-wrote with Mark Taus, who is fantastic, by the way. Made into a movie. So many of the reviews, and in fact, he even just got a DM the other day from a reader that said they just finished it and they can't wait to see the movie. And it's
Mm.
like everyone's just calling for that book to be made into a movie, except for people who make movies. Where are you at? Anyway, so we've asked people, who they thought, and the one person that everyone agrees on is that Marge in the movie should be Kathy Bates.
Mm.
You can't go wrong with Kathy Bates.
Right? Yeah, for sure. But I don't know about you know the 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 book is about it's three different couples that all have their own bucket lists, and they're all in different age categories, and the oldest of the couples is a they're a married couple of serial killers, and they have things that they want to check off their bucket list before they kick the bucket.
Mm.
So they take over a bed and breakfast that the other two couples end up staying at,
Huh.
and try to live out their bucket list on their guests.
Huh.
And it's actually a horror comedy. So it goes really gruesome, like extreme horror, but also really goofy and silly and funny at times. Um,
So
so I don't know.
it would make a good anthology movie.
Yeah.
Maybe you should read the book.
Yeah,
We definitely will.
Um, but yeah, it was put out by Evil Cookie. It's my book that has the most reviews for sure on Goodreads. It has like 60 something, uh, which is miles
So
ahead of anything else.
so going back to the reviews topic, how important are reviews to an author? Like especially to you, like what do you do? How do you deal with the feedback, whether it's positive or negative?
um, well, I mean, uh, negative feedback is just part of the game. It's gonna
Hmm.
happen no matter what you do. So, like, the only way to deal with it is just not to.
Right.
Like, you don't take it to heart. Don't confront it. Don't you know broadcast it. Just keep looking forward and keep going. Um, but then the positive, that's a whole different story. Take that in, let it feel good, be proud of yourself, and then share that with the world, and then let it motivate you. Um, I don't. There are people who have like thousands of reviews, and I'm not sure how they manage it. But when I don't have that many, but the ones I get are like, I just got one today um, from Diana Ritchie, and um, it was a 5-star review for my book, "Oh Fuck a T Rex," and it was so cool to read that review and to see that it wasn't just a review for the book. She also it was like a review from me as a writer. She said, he continues to do this with great characters, and if you haven't read him yet, you're really missing out. So like that's huge to me. I may not have 4,000 reviews, but if I can get you know one review like that, I'm feeling pretty good because it's
Yeah,
not like she's a reviewer. That was her 400th review. It's not like
Yeah.
it came from my dad or something.
Right.
and
Oh,
I think it's kind of human nature, right? So when you go to buy something, you look at reviews, and it's almost like, oh, there's like 40 great reviews and there's two bad reviews, and you kind of look at the bad reviews, and that's what gets in your head sometimes. So I think as a content creator, as an author, you probably have to be very disciplined in trying to like drown out noise of people that maybe don't understand it. But has there
No,
ever been like a criticism where it's improved what you've done? You've read it and you're like, well, yeah, maybe I should change something, or maybe
I
they
mean,
have a point,
not. I don't think from a review, but like,
or just in general. Just
but in general, yeah. I mean, I'm constantly like, I don't think, especially with writing, I don't think you're ever at the peak of your craft. I mean, I think you can constantly improve and keep going, and so I'm always looking for that. And you know, eh, even when people give me good reviews, sometimes they'll point out the one thing that didn't work for them. Like they'll give me a 4-star review and they'll say, this book was great. I couldn't put it down. This part bothered me. And like I do go, oh, okay. And then, the next book I write, I take that into consideration and try to keep it in my head. Because ultimately I am trying to, create a product and make people happy. That's I write for myself, and I would write if I wasn't putting it out. But if you are putting it out, there's no point in not doing the best you can to put out something people are going to enjoy. Um, so yeah, that's. I think that's always, it's always important to listen to what your readers have to say, and so that's why it's always good too to have like beta readers or a writers group or anything like that where you can get that feedback before you put it out to the public.
Yeah, it must be difficult because it's so subjective, right? I mean,
Oh,
one
of
person
course.
could love something for one reason, another person could hate it for the same reason,
Right.
and you're kind of stuck there in the middle. So, I mean, I've tried to write things in the
Well,
past, and I can't get past like the first chapter because I'm so self-critical. I reread, and like this is awful, and just throw it out. So I am like super excited whenever we have authors on. They're like, "Yeah, I love this stuff," and it doesn't matter who
Yeah, well, I
people
was
read
just
it or one people read it, but if they like it, it's great, and they
I was
enjoy
just going to say
it.
that from what you said a minute ago, where um, you said one person can love it and one person can hate it for the same thing.
Mhm.
So if that's the thing you're going for, then you're going for the person that's going to love it for that thing. And you have to just accept that other people, it's not their thing.
Yeah,
So if it's not their thing, then you're not trying to please those people. So if it's someone's thing and they don't like it, that's when you have to, go, okay, maybe I didn't do this well.
yeah,
But if
and
the
what I'm
people that
finding
it's their niche, however you want to pronounce that,
niche.
their niche. If it's their niche, then and you please them, then you're doing fine. It doesn't
so
matter if
I'm
everyone else.
curious because I've heard this conversation a few times in different authors groups that I'm in. How do you handle writing from a different person's perspective or a character's perspective that may not mirror your own? How do you handle that process?
Um, well, what I personally do is I try to pull from. I still try to pull from reality, from people that I know and experiences that I've seen, and people I may know intimately, and what I know that they felt and what I think that they would feel in that situation. And one thing I have been credited with, and I pride myself on, is people say that I write people really well,
Hmm.
and I do go outside of myself a lot because I feel like you should. I feel like if you don't, you're putting yourself in a box, and I don't ever want to be put in a box. So um, all types of people exist in reality, so all types of people should exist in fiction. That's how I
Hmm. I absolutely agree. Except Mark, he shouldn't exist at all.
That,
feel. See, that's my whiskey.
Damn
just,
it! Sorry.
just you wait until we get into me and
Yeah,
Jim bickering like fucking podcast.
yeah.
It's,
I would do the whiskey now because there might be a few mouth spitting
yeah,
issues later.
just bend your neck. It's the best thing.
Yeah. Mark, you have any more
Yes.
questions?
No, I mean, Kisa, if there's just anything that right now you want to kind of let our audience know, this is what you just released. This is what's upcoming. Whatever, however you want to promote yourself,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we're
Well,
very much for that.
I I I have a bunch of that.
Oh, I have a question before you get into that. Are any of
Okay.
your audiobooks, or do you plan on releasing it? Is that something? Because that's the
I,
way I normally consume books right now.
audiobooks.
Yeah.
Um, well, the book I was talking about earlier, The Bucket List,
Hmm.
has an audiobook, and the narrator for that book nailed it. It's one of the best audio adaptations I've ever heard, and I was so proud that it happened to be something I worked on because I was like, It was bad though because I was like, I almost don't want people to read this book anymore because it feels like she owns it now, like, and it should just be consumed this way. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, it's almost that first step before like a movie adaptation, right? Because
Yeah, yeah, she did. She did all different voices and put sound effects in and music, and yeah, she's it was
because
pretty.
it really can affect how you consume that media, right? Like an audiobook, if the narrator's terrible, even if the book's great,
Yep.
and vice versa. If the book's not that great, but the narrator is great, you can really buy into that. And
Yeah, my my first Sunnycrest book, "Accidental Murderer in Apartment 34," is on audio, and it's it's interesting because I've had everyone who's listened to the audio version by the end of it has loved it, but some people at the start are like, the narrator sounds like he should be narrating Disney, and it's kind of a really dark source material, so like it's weird, but that's almost why I picked him, because it just the book is an unreliable narrator story, so it just adds to like the quirkiness of it.
yeah, I've had books like the one that stands out is William Peter Blatty, and we'll get onto The Exorcist soon. Narrating The Exorcist, like whenever I first started listening to it, and obviously I've read the book before, but like his voice for Reagan and stuff just seemed really strange.
Yeah.
But the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, okay, I'm on board with this. So sometimes you can have that sort of start where it's, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but the more you listen to it, and then you get bored with it. So
I have that same issue when I listen to audiobooks. Like it takes me probably a good 30 to 40 minutes of narration for me to get used to the the narrator and their style and their voices and that kind of stuff. Especially if you're listening to a series and then they change narrators. It just gets really obnoxious.
Yeah, that's weird. Another thing that really pulls me right out of it, that of course wouldn't happen if I was reading it, is when there's like a male narrator and they try to do like a high pitched girl voice,
Hmm.
and I'm like, that just it sounds like someone like making fun of somebody almost. Like it doesn't sound real or authentic at all. And like all of a sudden, I'm just like, what? And then I'm not paying attention to the story.
Right.
I'm just like,
what
that's
do you mean? What do you mean?
exactly.
It's like Mickey.
Yeah, it's just yeah, it's definitely obnoxious. It's like just don't do it.
So, Kisto, do you want to maybe sound off with your social medias and stuff so people can follow you if they want?
Oh well,
Listen.
it's I'm on everything, and it's just my name. It's Chisto for people who don't know. Chisto, Chisto, Stowe, and Healy, Healy, and you can at me and find me just about anywhere. So yeah. And then I have kistohealy.com, but as I was saying earlier, I'm really miserable at updating it. It's been like probably close to a year, and I'm bad. And the person who worked really really hard to like build that for me and then make me videos to teach me how to do it, like they deserve way better than what I've done with it. So
Oh, that's okay. Don't feel bad. Mark doesn't do anything for this either. He won't edit it. He won't book guests. He just wants to come on camera and look pretty.
No,
I mean,
so 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 what Jim's trying to do is avoid our next section. And we all had a pretty lengthy Facebook conversation on Messenger, which we're going to probably dip into because I thought it was pretty fun.
No spoilers though, Mark. No spoilers.
Are you sure? Because
I'm telling you, no spoilers. That's not an option. Kisto hasn't seen the movie yet. We don't
are
want
yeah,
to
yeah,
release
yeah. No spoilers. No
no
spoilers.
spoilers.
okay. Yes,
Because as literally everyone has said it's absolutely awful, and I'm still gonna watch it because
Yep,
that's
and I
just
felt the same way.
Jim, let's put this in context a little bit. So,
Okay.
Bloomhouse, David Gordon Green, right?
Fucked
Well,
up another trilogy.
they
Yes.
they they did an awful Halloween trilogy, which made the Rob Zombie movies look.
I love the first one.
Wait. Yeah, I was gonna say the 2018 was a
Yeah.
pretty decent
I,
foray.
I
The
was
rest
just
of them are garbage.
I watched Halloween Kills, and it was so bad I went back to the first Halloween because I remember liking it, but I rewatched it and I fucking hated it. And
That's
then
because you
Halloween
watched it in a bad,
Kills.
you watched it in a bad mindset. That's why. You were
So
already feeling those
So,
emotions.
so
we
I'll
watched
say
it. We
this
did
right.
it in a watch along, and it was not fantastic the second time.
So I got this right now with an author on here. To me, the bedrock of a good movie is the script writing. It's the writing.
Oh
It's
yeah, for
the
sure.
directing can be bad, the acting can be bad, but if there's good writing, that movie will still succeed for me.
Yeah,
Those movies just it was they were trying to do this nostalgia porn, then trying to bring their own fucking bullshit into it. It didn't make any sense. The characters were unlikable. But anyway, we're not talking about those movies.
to me,
So
what you said
Blumhouse,
was really important. To me, like when it comes to a movie, if especially horror, if the characters are unlikable, like it kills the whole thing. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't care if they die. Like I'm not rooting for them. I'm rooting for the killer.
Yep.
That's how I felt with the most recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre on
oh,
Netflix. That movie was complete trash,
that
and
is
the final scene that's supposed to like get you. I'm not going to say what it is or whatever, but I laughed hysterically.
it's like, oh my god, like I can, so if it's a low budget movie, right, and it's just there to do a certain thing, right, it might just be there to have creative kills, right, it could be like a Friday the 13th or whatever. Nobody really cares about the characters, whatever. I mean, they're just fodder. As long as the kills are cool and it's not too stupid, it's still enjoyable. But we're talking about like big major Hollywood movies here,
Yeah,
and Bloomhouse and I think with Universal spent $400 million just to get the rights,
the rights. Yeah,
and that doesn't include the production costs, the actors, and everything else. So for that $400 million, Jim, this first movie in this trilogy, was it worth your $20 or whatever you paid for it?
It absolutely was not. I should have waited for streaming.
I told you. I
You
fucking
did. You did.
but you know what? Like he said that. Everyone else said that, and I'm still gonna watch it. I'm
Right.
probably still gonna go to the theater and see it just because
And
I need to see for myself.
so
so
there were 7 people in the theater with me, including the 3 people that I brought with me. And there was not a single reaction, a single gasp. Well, I take that back. There was one gasp between all 3 of us at the exact same moment from the film. But other than that, there was not a single audience reaction throughout the entire movie. Nothing.
As far as the amount of people that are in the theater, though, like nowadays, a lot of people just aren't going because they know
Yeah.
it's going to come on streaming, and they're just not, like it's almost like a dying art, and it makes me sad because I love going to the theater.
yeah, so here's where I'm at with like this new Exorcist and a number of movies where I know it's probably going to be shit. I've just got that morbid curiosity. It's like car
Right.
crash. I
Exactly. Yeah, you got to go see it.
But I will not pay money to go to a movie theater and do.
Ah,
I will wait for streaming and watch it then.
And I don't
I
blame you
will pay the money just so I can be mad and wish I had my money back. Like so-
sort of like me when I saw Dick Tracy for the first time. I
oh
walked
god,
out. The only
yeah.
movie I ever walked out on.
I didn't. I just wish I did.
Yeah.
Jim, did something happen in that movie theater?
Not during that movie, no, Mark.
Not during that movie. Okay.
Not during that movie.
We'll get on to Jim's trauma.
Please
I
don't.
just
Let's
went
not
to
talk about that again.
I just went to see it. It Lives Inside. Have y'all seen that yet?
No, not yet.
I really enjoyed it. It's
Did you?
it felt really like refreshingly original and unique to me. It's not super scary or but the a lot of times for me, especially with horror, cinematography can make or break a movie. Like you were talking about the writing, I feel like the cinematography is just as important. And you can have a low budget and still have a brilliant cinematographer.
Oh yeah.
And
Like
it's
Dean Cundy. Dean Cundy was a master of cinematography. And if you look at, John Carpenter's movies were great anyway.
exactly,
Like the
exactly.
thing and the fog, just that atmosphere and just that,
I
just the
Mark,
long
Mark, Mark,
shot.
Mark. We've talked about this. The Fog is not a masterpiece.
Yes, it
What?
is.
No, it is not. It's
What?
garbage. It's
No,
boring, and
no,
it's so garbage.
Jim. Shh.
Yep.
I
A sane voice in the room other than mine.
I feel like, because given the cast and given the storyline, I feel like I should have enjoyed The Fog, but I did not.
Wait, you don't like the remake, do you?
No, no, God, I do not.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
no.
So,
I don't like the
so hang
original or
on,
the
Jim.
remake.
That's
Jim, what is your rating out of 10 for the original Fog?
I'd probably give it a four, four and a
And
half.
what is your rating for the remake?
Oh, probably a two. I hated everything about that movie.
yeah, it
So
was god awful.
you understand the level of person I have to deal with on a weekly basis.
No, you know what? I mean, I agree with the two. The
Mhm.
four is ridiculous, but um, you're entitled to your opinion, but you're wrong. Anyway, so
That's fair.
it was actually funny because I was watching. I just started watching Fear the Walking Dead. I never watched it, and I'm watching it on streaming. And I hated Shannon on Lost
Mhm.
like more than anything. And then um, Maggie Grace, I think that's her name. She was also in the remake of The Fog, which was god awful. And I was like, oh man, like I shouldn't watch anything with her. And she ended up being one of my favorite characters in Fear the Walking Dead. And I was like, wow, maybe she's actually a great actress. And I was supposed to hate her. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You can get talented people, whether they're actors or whatever, stuck in a bad movie,
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
and then you see them something else, and they're like, "Oh, they've redeemed themselves." I probably hated that anyway.
I I dropped out of Fear the Walking Dead during season two. I really enjoyed season one, but then I got
Wow,
bored.
really?
I
Because
did.
I thought the first three seasons, season four is, I mean, I'm binging it, and season four just completely lost me.
Yeah.
Because the first three seasons are all about the same family, and
Yep.
like, you feel invested in that, and then season four just like goes like a million miles ahead, and there's all these new characters, and like it doesn't even explain how they got there, and like. I'm just like, what just happened? It's like a different show all of a sudden. It just completely pulled me out of it.
So,
So Mark, you wanted to talk more about my movie experience. So
no. Before that, Jim. So, I want you to rate every Exorcist movie you've seen.
oh Jesus
Ooh,
Christ, I've
So,
seen them all.
okay, so Exorcist, the
It's a 9.5 out of 10.
the Exorcist two.
I'd say probably 6 out of 10 because it's a fun mess.
Yeah, it is.
I was gonna say I'd give it a 7 because it's enjoyable.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun, even though it's a giant mess of a movie.
It really
It,
is.
it's another one of those car crash movies, right? That you just can't help but turn your head and look at it and be,
Exactly. But I
that's
love
all right.
I love movies like that sometimes. Like you know what? If you have a good time, the movie's a success. Like
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, objectively, it's bad. I mean, it's like Troll 2 and like a lot of these, so bad it's good.
yeah,
But
exactly.
it's
Mark
still
and I,
watch.
Leprechaun
Mark
fan.
and I had this conversation about like the experience of watching the movie goes a long way. Like I absolutely hated Freddy versus Jason. Right? I think it's a shit movie, but the experience I had in the theater made it so much fun for me.
That's bullshit. Freddy versus Jason is one of the best
Shit, it's
roles
shit.
to do. either franchises.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody wanted it.
They did.
Everybody'd been waiting for it. We've been hoping for it. I remember when I was in middle school, maybe even elementary school, my brother drew a picture. He was just like a natural born artist, and he drew a picture of like Freddy and Jason facing off. And I was like, oh man, if they made that movie, it would be so cool. You know, it's just a thing everyone wanted. So it didn't even matter if it was shit. Everyone wanted it, so they were gonna enjoy it. Like,
And
Freddy versus Jason does exactly what it says in the tin. It's absolutely awesome. Put that against something like Alien versus Predator, which is just a watered down bullshit PG-13 garbage movie.
oh god, if we're comparing, there's no way to compare the
hard
two though.
disagree.
Because they're versus Sadako versus Kiyako.
Yeah, that was
Fantastic,
great.
fantastic. It was
I
great.
loved it. Yes.
It does what it says on the tin.
Yep, it's absolutely ridiculous in the best way possible.
Absolutely, yes.
If you look at the Alien
Exactly
franchise,
what I wanted from it.
they're like R-rated, blood and guts, like just all out, right? For
So
the
I,
most part.
I will say that for Freddy versus Jason, they captured exactly what the audiences wanted.
Yeah.
Right? They did that. And like I said, I don't care for the movie, but the theater experience made it so enjoyable for me. It was a packed theater. Everybody was hooting and hollering and just having a great time. During the whole fight scene between Freddy and Jason, when Freddy's being hacked apart, me and the guy sitting behind me are quoting Monty Python, the Black Knight skit. So it was a blast.
It's
What,
just a flesh wound.
Yeah,
what I would say about Exorcist 2, I think in retrospect, it's a lot of fun.
yeah.
I can only imagine people in 73 who watched The Exorcist and loved it and then went to the movie theater to watch The Exorcist 2. They fucking hated it.
We're like, what the?
Acid was a lot more prevalent back then.
Yeah,
So
that's
it would have
true.
been that hated.
That's true.
Yeah, but math is much more available now.
No, but seriously though, Exorcist 3?
I would give that probably a 6 or 7.
Ah,
I'm
man, I
willing
was
to-
going full 9 on that.
10 out of
I yeah,
my
I think it's a good movie, but I don't think it's as fantastic as everybody says it is.
So,
Ah,
Jim,
it's great.
George Scott.
Fucking sucks.
Oh, so, Chisto, come on, have my back here.
Look, George C. Scott cannot emote. He's got one mode, and that's to play a beat
He
cop.
won an
That's it.
Oscar,
You know
Jim.
what? Hold on. Jim's not wrong, but that mode is great.
I'm not saying it's not great, but he can't. Like I told Mark, he just cannot emote.
No. Whenever
He's
he
built
finds
to
out
play the cop.
his friend, the priest dies, and
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
there's emotion there. There's a
Yeah.
lot of.
That is not emotion. That is scripted blocking.
Well, that's because you've got a
I mean-
cold heart, Jim.
So the next thing he's going to bring up, Kisto, just because you haven't had this conversation, he's going to bring up the changeling next,
Oh, the changeling.
because that's where this came
Wait,
from.
wait, which changeling?
The one with George C. Scott, the original.
Okay.
Not the Angelina Jolie one.
Yeah.
Which again I think is giant garbage.
The Angelina Jolie one?
No,
Is
the
that
George C.
right?
Scott one, because
Oh.
it's not emote.
Ghost one.
I was gonna say no, I'm kind of with you on the original, but I actually really enjoyed the Angelina Jolie Changeling movie.
I haven't seen it.
So, Jim, so the next two kind of weird Exorcist prequels that
Yeah.
like, what the fuck was this studio thinking?
Oh, the beginning, Exorcist, the beginning. I
Well,
I
there was
really enjoyed that.
the beginning
That's
and
all it's-
Dominion. There was Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist, and then
Right,
Exorcist,
yes.
the beginning, which essentially
Yes.
are the same movie,
It
just
is.
different cuts
It
because
is.
they got different directors.
Yeah, it is, and one is done better. So that's why I went straight to the beginning.
I personally believe that I enjoyed Dominion more than I did Exorcist, the beginning.
Really?
And
So-
I don't know why. Like, I don't have a specific reason for it. I just remember, because I've only seen either movie once, I remember in the theaters when I saw Dominion, I enjoyed that one more than I did Exorcist the beginning.
So one's more action and one's less action.
Yes.
Right.
And the Rennie Harlan one is the more action one. I like in my head, I don't remember which one's which.
Exactly.
but to me, it felt more like an action movie than a horror movie, and
Yeah.
I was like, so that's why I like the beginning better.
What a clusterfuck from the production
Yeah,
company.
yeah, for sure.
Right.
It's a mess.
This one, we don't really like it, so we'll shoot this other one,
Right.
the first one, and release it. But the audience didn't like that one, so we go back and release the other one that we didn't release because we didn't
Yeah.
like it because we still want to make some money. So,
Yeah.
Jim, what are your ratings for those two?
So Dominion, I'd probably give a 6,
Okay.
and Exorcist: The Beginning would be a 5.
Okay, and now we're getting to Exorcist, the new one. What would you give it? Believer.
It would be a 4.
A four? That's pretty high for you.
Yeah, it's a 4.
That must be in your top 10 movies. I'm joking. Chisto.
Kiso ask, he wants you to ask about Event Horizon.
So,
Wait,
so,
hold on. If you say you don't like Event Horizon, I'm going to walk off this podcast.
No, no, no. I do. But when
Okay.
we discussed our favorite horror movies, right? He asked me to rate it, and I
so,
think I gave it a 6, right?
so, Jim, hang on. I asked for your top 5 horror movies
Right.
and how you rated them.
Right.
And Event Horizon was in your top 5 horror movies.
Absolutely.
And what did you rate it?
I think I rated it a 5 or a 6. I think.
What? First
Hey,
of all, how can
There's
you
a
rate
reason.
anything in your top five a 5 or a 6? Why would it be in
Because
your
there's a,
top five? There's a billion horror movies.
here's the reason. Here's the absolute reason. I absolutely adore that movie, and I think it was fantastic when it came out. The special effects do not hold up
right, but why wouldn't you have something higher on your list than
because
that?
I have so much love for that movie. It was fantastic.
Well, it's not that fantastic if you're rating it a 6.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
is. It's
No,
still
you have to. You say the special effects don't hold up, but you have to rate the special effects for the time.
right for the time. Like if I'm basing it off my initial viewing of the movie, it would be a 9 out of 10,
Okay.
100%.
Yes,
But
exactly.
when Mark and I spoke about it, we had just rewatched it, and I told him it does not hold up. So my revised rating,
It's still in your top 5 horror movies,
yes,
Jim.
it is. Yes, it is.
So there's no horror movie that's more than a 6 out of 10 in
That
your
is not
top
true.
5 horror movies.
That is not true.
Well, I asked you your top 5 horror movies. And
Wait,
Because most of my top 5 horror movies, they hold up.
but
I don't have to adjust the rating for.
it's madness. It's like I'm losing my mind.
it really is kind of a like a I don't know, like weird paradox or something.
I'm very complex, Kisto. Just so you know.
We live this over and over again for all
So-
eternity.
Wait,
I am.
I have a question. Have
Sure.
y'all seen the movie Dolls from the
Yes.
80s?
Oh, from the 80s? Yeah, absolutely. It's a great 80s horror movie.
Okay, that movie when I was young like traumatized me, and I went to watch it again because I assumed that it wouldn't hold up. I was like,
Right.
oh, it's probably if I watch it as an adult, it's probably like campy and ridiculous, and I'll just won't be. And then the people I watched it with were like, it's no wonder that gave you nightmares as a child. It's terrifying, and I was like, yeah, it really does hold up. Like,
It's my favorite killer doll movie.
I never thought it was scary. I thought it was
No,
hysterical.
no,
And I
movie,
absolutely love it.
no movie is scary. It's
My
all
favorite line in that entire movie was, "Are they anti-cute?" Like that's the only thing I remembered until I watched it again in my 20s from
now,
when I initially saw it.
um, I have, as I said earlier, I have a fear of clowns. My other thing is dolls, especially like ventriloquist dummies. And then the main doll in that was like a jester, so it
Yeah.
was like a clown and a doll. It like combined my two greatest fears. So
You must have really hated Dead Silence then, huh?
I I hated it and loved it at
Yeah.
the same time. Like,
What about Magic with Anthony Hopkins? Have you seen that?
oh, I haven't seen it in so long. I don't. I need to go back and rewatch it. Honestly,
It's quality.
It is.
um,
It's fantastic. It really
Dead
is.
Silence though, like I'm gonna come out and say it. I know, obviously the world disagrees with me, or it wouldn't still be fucking going. But I hate the Saw franchise completely from movie one till the whatever the fuck they're still putting out. But Dead Silence, I was like, hey, they did something pretty good. So I actually liked The Collector too. So
Oh, the collector is great, and the collection.
yeah,
And I recently revisited them, and I was like, I totally forgot how fucking brutal those movies
yeah,
are.
yeah, for
They're
sure.
really, really out there. It's like awesome. But have you seen *Malignant*? Because that's a very divisive James Wan movie.
Malignant. I'm not sure. Um, Wait, you said James Wan. So
Yeah.
um, the Insidious,
Yep.
isn't that James Wan?
Yeah, he did *Saw*. He did *Dead
Guys,
Silence*.
too. It's they're all by the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's no wonder I hate it. I hate all that is Insidious too.
yeah, he did the whole *Conjuring*.
Now I know I should just ignore James Wan. Thank you so
There you
much.
go. I personally
Sorry,
like
James.
Malignant.
You don't
I
need me.
Yeah, he's got the money. So he doesn't care.
I really enjoyed *Malignant*. I thought that was a fun movie.
It
I
was
don't. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's rare that there's a horror movie I haven't seen. So I might have watched it, but if I did, I'm not drawing anything from it.
Yeah.
it. Well, I if I tell you the twist and you haven't seen it, it might ruin it for you. So I don't know
Like,
if I should say it.
like what's?
Oh, don't
Don't
tell
tell the twist. What's the basic plot line?
So it's set up kind of like a giallo, right? And there's
Okay,
this
which I love.
killer who's killing certain people, and this woman is moving into this house, and she gets somehow involved in it. And at a certain point, we find out who the killer actually is, and it's not who you would suspect.
Right.
There's the vaguest plot ever.
Because I don't want
Well,
Yeah,
that's really all.
million
That's really
different.
all he can give you.
But it's very giallo the first half. It's very body horror the second half, and it's very different from a lot of like James Wan stuff.
Yeah, I
Yes.
So
mean, I'll watch it.
yeah,
If I might get halfway through and go, oh, I've seen this.
yeah, maybe.
That happens to me sometimes. But
It happened. That just happened to me this week because I was so excited that The Boogeyman was finally on Hulu, and I went to my mother's house and I put it on for her because she likes movies like that, and I'm like, I've already seen this. Where did I see this? I have no idea where I saw this.
So, so Jim, since you brought up your mother,
Oh God.
so maybe we can go over the old ground.
Do we have to?
Yes. What age were you, Jim?
8 or 9.
So, Keystone.
yeah, I'm really
This,
interested in where this
this,
is.
this is where we start from. So this is like Jim's origin story if he was a supervillain.
Okay.
He's a shit podcaster. So this is his origin story. One night, Jim's mom, when he was 8 or 9, said, "Jim, do you want to watch a movie?"
Not quite how it happened, but go ahead.
Well, I don't know. Well, do you want to expand on it? So just think
I
it's
don't because I don't remember it as much as you
no,
do.
then you don't know how it happened. So you're a liar.
I don't remember. I know. I was 8 or 9 when I first saw this
Like,
movie.
have you seen that Simpsons meme where it's like Homer patting the couch, come over and sit down type
Of
thing?
course, yeah.
Yeah. So little Jimmy came over, and his mom put in probably a VHS at that point.
Oh yeah.
Clicked the play button, got the popcorn out. Hey, let's watch this movie. And what movie was it, Jim?
It was The Entity.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah.
so Jim and his mom.
When you first mentioned that you were traumatized by it, you didn't say you watched it with your mom.
I was not traumatized by it. Mark has been far more traumatized by my experience than I have.
No, I mean far more.
Seeing it young is one thing. Seeing it young with your mom is another thing. That definitely calls for therapy.
But here's the thing: like I keep trying to explain this
I'm
to
a
Mark.
therapist.
A lot of the adult overtones, like the ghost rape and the beatings and all that, I
Yeah,
didn't understand that.
Jim. It's all adult. It's not adult overtones. Content. There's-
It
I
really
did.
is. Yeah.
I did not understand any of that when I
well,
first
because
saw
you're
it.
8 years old.
Right, that's my point. So it did not traumatize me, Mark. It traumatizes you that I saw it at that age. It didn't traumatize me.
Okay, you're a perfectly rational, normal person, Jim.
Pretty much.
You have no weird trauma.
No, none at all. Not from that movie, anyway. Brought up a list, Mark. You ready?
Okay.
Um,
Because Mark likes to consider himself a movie connoisseur.
okay,
Yeah,
but
me too. Me too. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
See what I have to work with?
okay, so if you take like Day of the Dead, right?
I haven't seen it.
Compare that to Psycho.
You
Which
haven't
one's
seen it?
more brutal?
Sorry, Mark.
No, I have not seen it. Kisa.
Not the
Oh,
original or the remake or
No,
the other remake.
no, none of them.
anyway,
Wow.
where did we leave off?
You were talking about Day of the Dead compared to Hitchcock.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying as far as brutality is concerned,
I
Day
just
of
feel like it's a different level of. It's just a different style of brutal. It's not
And
less
that's what I
brutal or
kept trying
more
to
brutal.
explain to him. That's what I kept trying to explain to Mark. It's not necessarily about the gore.
so
It's
so
it's
let,
really
let,
about
let's
the
let's compare
experience.
apples to apples. The original Halloween, how brutal is it compared to say Rob Zombie's Halloween?
I don't know. I've only seen it once, and I'll never watch it again.
Honestly, I I'm gonna say it's way more brutal because
What the
yeah,
original?
Rob Zombie's Halloween may have more gore, but it also gave you a lot more like empathy and feeling and like I
And
actually like felt for Mike Myers, where in the first one I was just horrified by him. So
No, I didn't.
and
Uh,
let's not
that
forget.
Rob Zombie movie, we could talk about the whole Michael Myers character because, um, to me, they fucked that character up so bad. But
which
it is much more brutal. I mean, you have him sitting there stabbing and stabbing and stabbing, grabbing people like
I
it's
mean,
it's
yeah, but like
more
the
brutal.
yeah,
But let's not talk about the
But
worst
brutal
part of
is
Rob
visceral,
Zombie
right?
movies.
I mean, brutal is more visceral.
But
is
let's
it?
not.
It doesn't
Yeah.
No,
have to
I
be.
disagree.
It's
So,
a.
so if I smother somebody, like say there's a character that we all like, and I smother them with a pillow.
Yeah,
Okay, we like that character. That's terrible.
yeah.
But if we get that same character and say in a remake or whatever, and we sit there and we slice open their body in all view and we pull out their
You,
intestine, there's
but
one the pillow smothering to me is not as brutal as the treatment
but
that we get.
That's not apples to apples, though.
Yeah, no, but hold on. There's context to it. And a lot of
Exactly.
times when there's gore for gore's sake, like, oh, he got sliced in half and this happened, whatever, I'm like numb to that. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, there you go. Like, and it doesn't affect me.
But
But if
being
you see someone who like loves them, like put a pillow over them and they're suffocating them and they're twitching and shaking and like that's brutal, man.
Yeah.
disagree.
Well,
But
you
anyway,
can be wrong, Mark. It's okay.
Well, you're allowed. Go hit your punching bag.
So, what were we going to talk about? We had a point to this whole
so
conversation.
we're
I have
talking
no idea
about
where we went.
The Exorcist. That's where we left off.
Okay.
So then you were going to bring up possession movies.
I do. I have a list of 25 possession movies, Mark, and I want to know your thoughts.
Oh
And
wow.
Just
Okay.
my thoughts.
no, of course not just your thoughts. I've heard your thoughts.
That's
I
fine.
don't want to hear your thoughts. We're going to go Christos first, and then you.
Okay.
And I already know what you're going to say about this one, Mark. And we disagree to disagree. But Kisto, what are your thoughts on the last exorcism?
Uh, I really wanted to like it. It was really frustrating.
Yeah,
It it was a great idea, not executed well. I feel like.
I agree. Mark?
Well, I thought it was great.
I know you.
Um, you come at movies with your own self, right, and your own belief sets and stuff, and that can influence you. I'm an atheist, agnostic atheist, and I think a lot of religion is just bullshit. And I thought it was great the way they showed him showing off all the tricks, right? He's just making money off these people at the start. And then, they kind of flip the script and whatever, and that's fine. But I really like the way that they did it. I like the handheld found footage stuff. I
Some
liked it. The second one, I didn't like at all.
so not to veer off subject when there's
Yep.
24 movies, but do you, like so you're a found footage fan? You think like the found footage genre in general?
I mean, it's just a form of filmmaking, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
you
sure.
can have good ones and you can have bad ones. It lends itself to a little bit of cheapness. So that's why there was so many of them after like Blair Witch Project. So there's a lot of it's kind of like
And,
slashers or
and
whatever.
I'm in found footage groups, and when found footage is done well, it's fantastic for a low budget. But most of the time, I feel like it's not. So, uh,
Well, again, to me, found footage, found footage, really early 2000s, right? Because the big boost of the Blair Witch didn't invent it, right? It was cinema variete from French movie making and then Cannibal Holocaust and everything. But the
yes,
project really set it ablaze. And it kind of was the same as 80s slashers. It was the same formula. It's like we have video cameras now, which we can make real cheap movies on and follow the same formula. So there's going to be a lot of crap there. And it's the same in the horror in general.
yeah, but even the crap 80s slashers are still entertaining because they're funny. And bad found footage movies are not funny. They're just
Well,
great.
here's the downside of that handheld. It's not even found footage a lot of times handheld. Is that you get a lot of the camera going back and forwards on the ground, right? As somebody's running away, and that's not good movie making, and that's not
Like
entertaining.
let me just ask you, since you said earlier that you're like to you the writing is the most important.
Yep.
How
hmm
do you feel about the Paranormal Activity franchise?
I don't like it. Well, okay, so I take that back. I really hated the first one. I thought it was boring and slow, and I'm sorry, a door opening slowly over a number of nights. It just didn't do anything for me. I liked a couple of the sequels down the line. I don't really remember them that much, but yeah,
See, I have the complete opposite opinion. The
and a lot of people do. A lot of people love like the first
first
one.
movie to me was like it was something like found footage done really well, so I really appreciated it. And then the writing just took the story in this really weird direction. They just kept getting worse and worse as it went on, to where it just became the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah,
And
and and, and I like whenever they start to do something a little bit different with it. And it wasn't just that fixed camera, and they had like the cameras that were moving automatically and stuff. I thought that
yeah, so they took away the whole.
reveals right when something happened because,
Then
but
they
I
just
mean,
made it like everything
like
else.
like I wouldn't hold any of the paranormal activities up as a great horror movie. There's a couple I've watched of the sequels, and I'm like, oh, that's not bad. I'd never go back and watch them.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Jim, number two.
I have to say, I absolutely adored the first Paranormal Activity. I thought it was atmospheric and fantastic. The rest of them are garbage.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I 100% agree with that.
see, Mark, you're in the minority again.
It's all right. I'm
So the
always
next,
a minority on here.
so the next one is Nori the Curse.
Oh,
Yes, I really dug this, but I talked to you a little bit before the podcast.
Yes.
I don't remember a lot about it, but I really remember liking it.
What about you, Kisto?
yeah, no, it's good.
I have not seen it, so I'm not going to say one way or the other.
It's definitely it's weird, and weird in a good way. I
And,
feel.
Yeah.
and it's very like it really leans into that low budget filmmaking style,
Yep.
Yeah, but
right?
it does it right.
Yeah. No, for its benefit.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
So
This time
next
I agree with Mark.
up, wow. Next up, we have 2021's The Medium. It's a South Korean horror film.
Not sure I know that one.
I don't think I don't think I've seen that.
And I've watched a lot of Korean stuff.
So it's Thai and South Korean co-production. It's set in Thailand and features Thai dialogue. And it's a mockumentary slash found footage. Mark, you would enjoy that?
The meeting. Okay, I have to check my list to
I
see.
have to figure out if I haven't seen it. I need to watch it because I'm like an all Asian horror fanatic, and I want to see all of it.
And
Like,
Mark is too. He loves Asian horror.
yeah, me too.
The
I have a
medium.
pretty decent collection, honestly.
Yeah.
2021. I haven't seen this one.
Well, there you go. There's a new one for your list, Mark. See, I found one that you have not seen yet.
There's a lot out there, so that's not surprising.
So we're going to travel back in time now to 1998 for probably one of the worst possession movies ever, in my opinion. Fallen.
Which one?
Oh, Fallen.
Fallen
What?
with Denzel Washington.
Oh, I like that movie.
I did not.
Time is on your
I
side.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun.
Where it keeps switching.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's a great movie.
I didn't care for it.
it's
Neither
okay.
was
So it's very like Wes Craven's. What's that one from the late '80s? Shocker, where he's
Shocker.
from
Shocker
the
was awesome. That was
Shocker
one of the most underrated franchise.
Shocker is fantastic because it's so schlocky.
Yeah,
Fallen takes itself way too seriously.
no,
it does. It does, but like,
but it's supposed to
no,
take
it's
itself seriously.
dark, gritty. It's
But that's,
Denzel. Like, you can't go wrong.
I'm not a fan.
Fallen is kind of like Seven with mixed with Shocker.
I mean,
Fair.
that's a great combination.
Independently, I like them. I do not like them in a mashup. Sorry.
So, okay, so
Wow,
we have
I'm
to
dark again.
count as far as who you agree with more. But
I
Yeah,
have
we're
that effect
like
on
we should be keeping a tally here.
people. So number 21, we have the 1985 classic Demons.
Oh, it's fucking amazing.
yep, Demons and Demons Two
Yes,
are
exactly. Both of them, fucking incredible.
Tony the Pimp is such a pimp. He gets killed in the first one. The second one,
And now, Mark, we're going to go to the first movie you made me watch in the Asian horror category,
oh,
Hasu.
oh yes, classic
It
House.
is
Oh,
my favorite part is when
wait, the
the guy turns into
1970s
the
one.
yeah the
Yep.
77 one.
I'm actually going to see that in the theater in West Virginia next week in like an art house theater.
Have
Have
you
you
seen
not
it
seen it
before?
yet?
I have not.
Okay, then
Oh, you're in for a treat.
it is
It's listed
bizarre
as
in
a
the
horror
best way
comedy.
possible. It is bizarre in the best way possible. It's so over the top
It's
with
very avant-garde.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's why it's in an art house theater.
The bananas are my
Yeah,
favorite part of the whole movie.
But it's fun. It's not like you get some arty
yeah, yeah,
movies which are just kind of boring. This one
yes.
is just like it's almost like a cartoon movie. It's just bonkers. Like all the characters are bonkers. The setup's bonkers. The whole way that they film it, they like do all sorts of different camera tricks. It's amazing.
Are
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the Pang brothers?
Yes, the eye,
I
right?
am too. Huh?
Didn't they do the eye?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: the I like the not the god awful American remake, but
Right.
the I was phenomenal.
Yep.
And then the I two I found was really good too. It was really well done. The concept was cool. And then the I three, all of a sudden, like there's ghosts that are farting on people, and they're making like green ghost farts in people's faces, and I'm like, what is happening? Right now?
I've not seen the third one. I have to say.
It's so out there. It's so weird. Like it's like these kids are playing a game in the woods, and it's like kind of like manhunt or something, hide and go seek manhunt type of game, and
Yeah.
then one of them ends up in a ghost realm, and to get them back, they have to go into the realm and like find his spirit, but all the ghosts like fart attack you. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
That's like every podcast with me and Jim. I
Pretty
just
much.
no, I haven't seen the third one, but that sounds that sounds pretty out there. So,
Yeah,
It
it's
does.
wild. Like sometimes Asian horror just goes at like
and
just out of
well,
left field.
well, there's the cultural thing, right? And sometimes it doesn't work. Like the host, you've probably seen the host, right? The Korean movie, South Korean movie.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
like there's humor in that, which does not land for me at all. I think that's a cultural
It's a
difference.
it's a that's a solid movie though.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm from the UK, and I know because my wife's from the US. Like there's stuff that I like British comedy stuff, just totally over our head. Don't understand it at all. And then whenever you get to like Asian and different like areas of the world that are non-English speaking, totally different cultures, um, yeah, sometimes it just doesn't land.
Have you seen Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead?
No, I know about it though. That's kind of in that like Tokyo Gore. Uh,
It's amazing.
Jim,
It's it's incredible and original and hilarious and unique and wonderful. So
I
well,
can.
it's like a lot of Nikkei stuff, right? That's just like over the top, like crazy.
yeah,
Um,
it's completely insane, but it's insane in the right way.
right.
I have
Like
not seen
title
any
aside,
toilet
it's a
horror.
fun movie.
I
Go
have
ahead,
not seen
Jim.
any toilet horror yet. So
Jim, have you seen any Takeshi Miike stuff?
I
Oh
would.
man,
I would not know if
I
I
could
did.
talk about Takashi Miike all day.
You'd have to give me titles of movies.
Like,
I
Auditions is the most famous one.
huh?
Ichi
Audition.
the Killer
I have not seen Audition. No.
or Ichi the Killer.
Nope.
Um, what was the one he had one in? When Showtime was doing that.
Masters of Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his was banned, and it
Yep.
was super good.
And I won't bring up Malignant in relation to that one, but
Is there similarities? Because if there is, it's going to make me want to watch it even more.
yes,
Because I okay,
yes.
um, yeah, no, everything.
Like Gozu, and there's like
Yeah,
three.
Gozu, yeah, yeah.
And
No, to
Mike, right? He makes like 13 movies a year. He's freaking. In fact,
they're
my
so out there. Like Ichi the Killer, I watched, part of the making of that, and he actually like just for that one scene in the beginning where like the title of the movie is spelt in cum,
right.
he like he literally had everyone on staff, all the gaffers and everyone like jerk off and jizz in a bucket, and then he used real jizz to like make the title of the movie.
Well, you have to have artistic integrity.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like he's next level. He's awesome. I have so much respect. It's not even funny.
I have no response to that.
And my favorite movie of his is not even a horror movie. It's perhaps one of his more straightforward movies. It's 13 Assassins.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, it's excellent.
Anyway, Jim,
Not necessarily the remake,
right.
because every damn good Asian movie has been remade.
I won't even go into my Ringu versus Ring
Oh
rant.
my god,
Here we go
no,
again.
no, hold on. Ringu is amazing. The books are amazing. The movies are amazing. The Ring American movies are all garbage.
Correct. We're in
Well,
And
agreement.
I disagree.
I'm
So
on. I feel like I'm
in my
on Team
defense,
Mark. I've been on. I've agreed with you a couple of times, but I feel like overall I'm on Team Mark.
that's not
Hashtag
surprising.
Team Mark.
Yes,
I
but
have
you've
I
taken.
have I have I saw The Ring first, and I thought it was a good movie. I
Well, yeah. If you saw it first and then but then you go back and you watch the other one and you realize that The Ring is only like 30 minutes of the original movie.
Right.
The,
I do agree. My biggest issue with Ringu when I first saw it was that it felt really disjointed to me, and it's
no,
probably because I'm. Will you shut up and let me give my opinion, Mark?
you're factually wrong, Jim. Any way
No,
we
I'm
look
not.
at it, you're wrong.
No, no, I'm not.
Yep.
You cannot speak to my experience, sir. Only I can speak
I
to
would
my
want to speak to your experience, especially your movie going experience.
experience. So anyway, I had some trouble following along the first time I watched the movie. I watched it. I've now since watched it several times, and I absolutely think it's a great film. But it didn't diminish my love for the Ring with
So,
Naomi.
so
Have you
go ahead.
have you watched the rest of them? Have you read any of the books?
I have not read any of the books.
Like they go so
I
much
think I've
deeper.
seen two of the sequels so
Like
far.
the American movies are so like hollow. They're
So
Yeah, I
he,
don't disagree with that, but I did enjoy them.
here's the thing about the Ring versus Ringo. What the Ring does is strip out all the mythology, all the great backstory,
right,
and
exactly. And
they
the
and you know what they put in its place? Oh, it's just this girl with weird powers that we don't know how she got them, and now she's scary girl. Uh,
that's what Americans do. Like the most infuriating one to me overall is uh, record.
Wreck.
Uh, yeah, um, turned into quarantine
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they took the reason record was so good was the backstory and the twist and everything, and they took that and threw it in the trash. And then they were like, when we make an American version of this, how about we just make it rabies? And I
I,
was like, why? Why would you do that?
so here's a counterpoint. I don't mind quarantine. I don't think they explain much in Rec. They explain much more in Rec 2.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. It keeps building.
but
But you couldn't even
quarantine,
have that movie with Quarantine. Quarantine 2, like, it couldn't be Rec 2
right?
because they changed the entire premise. They're like,
Yes.
let's just do it on an airplane. Like, no,
But the
trash.
quarantine, the
Burn it.
quarantine to me is you take it by itself, right? Take the quarantine 2 and the Rec 2 thing out of it, right? And just look at it as its own movie if you can. It's a decent enough little movie. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's fine. But what Rec 2, Rec 2 is my favorite out of the Rec series, is
Because it goes further into the
is the
twist.
is a reconning of it and saying, okay, in the first movie, it did look like it was like a zombie outbreak, right?
Yeah,
And
until the twist.
yeah, and then there's something up there in the attic.
Right.
Crazy. But Rec 2 really went the next step, right? And they're like, no, it's not just some zombie outbreak, it's a demonic outbreak,
Okay, the
which they,
whole time I've been trying not to give spoiler, not to spoil it. I'm like the twist, and
I,
like, and
I
then you're
think,
like,
well,
actually, let me ruin it in case nobody's seen it.
yeah,
it's
he's
been
gonna
out long enough. I
I'm
think
back on Team Jim.
there's a stat.
ruin
He's, Jim will love it and give it a 3 out of 10.
pretty much.
Uh,
So I did not watch Quarantine because you know my feelings about Jennifer Carpenter, Mark. Yep. She's like Sherry Moon. I can't stand her, and I hate everything she's ever in on screen. Um,
okay, next.
Yeah,
Before we
what's next on the list? There's a lot of movies to get through.
we're gonna move on to Jennifer's Body from 2009.
Oh,
not
I
seen it.
love that movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it?
I
No.
haven't seen it.
Oh man, it's so like it's a comedy, and
Yeah,
it's really just masterfully done. Like that's a 9 out of 10 for me. And I'll
I've heard
say
lots
that,
of good.
and in saying that, I want to say I am not even a little bit of a Megan Fox fan. So
I think that's why I avoided it for the most part. And at the point when I got over the whole "I hate her guts" thing, I just never picked it up.
yeah, no, the writing is just incredible, and the directing is really good too.
Next up, Mark, we have your favorite sequel ever,
What?
Evil Dead 2.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. Uh,
I, I
Wait,
mean, the
we're talking about
quintessential '80s horror comedy.
Yep,
yeah.
agreed.
It's I actually there's a place here that is a bar that does Terror Tuesdays, and every Tuesday night, if you go out back, they put up a screen and they show like old horror movies and have s'mores on the fire.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it's super awesome. Drink an IPA, have some s'mores, watch classic horror. It's a beautiful night.
Nothing better than that.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, come to Asheville, people. We got the good stuff. And it they just did Evil Dead 2, and my partner had never seen it, and she was like, "Oh, I understand so much about so much in horror in general now after watching this movie, and so many memes and jokes and like it all makes sense now." And I was like, "Yeah, it's definitely a classic."
So,
Like,
so, so I think that obviously the '80s were the pinnacle, the zenith of horror comedy. But what Evil Dead 2 does is that it starts and there's like a 5 minute build up and then it never stops. It's just one thing after another and it's just fantastic.
it's I don't even I feel like it shouldn't have been Evil Dead 2 though, because it's kind of like a almost like Evil Dead again, just like
So,
done.
right. So it is supposed to be a sequel, but they couldn't get the rights to the first movie to do an intro.
Right.
So they just redid an intro, and it's supposed to be like the next adventures of Ash, but they have to like pre put that in. So
It's definitely great. Like even the special effects. Like I said, we were just watching it like the other day, and we were just cracking up. Like the gore, it was it's all magnificent. It's
it's the sweet spot for Sam Raimi, right?
yes, for sure.
Between the comedy and the
I
humor.
mean, you say that, but I love all that is Sam Raimi. I think.
I
Uh,
agree.
well, I'll say like Army of Darkness is too comedy for me in this trilogy. I think Evil Dead 2 just hits that sweet spot.
But you say that, but like most of what like people know of the Ash character and like personality comes from Army of Darkness.
Yeah, I'm not most people.
Listen up, you primitive metal screwheads. I love that movie. So next up, we have a movie we already talked about once already. That's The Exorcist 3.
Yep, classic. George C.
Yeah,
Scott.
yeah,
Wonderful. Yeah.
it's great.
Next up is a movie that we already know Chisto hates. It's called Sinister.
Do you hate that?
No, I'm
No,
kidding. It was a joke. He doesn't like Insidious.
yeah, no. Sinister, I loved.
I thought it was great.
Sinister 2, I have a completely different opinion of, but Sinister 1 was fantastic.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke was great in this film.
Yeah,
Yep.
Ethan Hawke's normally great.
So,
He is. He
and,
is.
and this is the second Scott Derrickson directed possession movie, right, Jim?
Hmm. Sure, if you say so.
Well, the other one has your favorite actress in it.
Are you going to expound on that?
So, what Jennifer Carpenter possession movie was there before?
One of my personal favorites.
I have no idea because I wouldn't have watched it.
Oh, come on. We've already talked about this, just not on the air.
The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yes.
Again, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Welcome to
I,
my
I
world.
don't think you understand my distaste for that actress.
You know what? Like you can dislike, like I just said, like Maggie Grace. I hated her in several things and then watched something and loved her in it. Like it's
I have yet to have that experience with Jennifer Carpenter.
well, because you haven't watched The Exorcism of Emily Rose. That's why.
Exactly. Probably true.
So Sinister is great. I think the best parts of it are those obviously the movies that he finds and how they're played out.
Just
This might.
the whole thing had this like just creepy feeling to it, like just the underlying feeling.
I don't understand why this movie's on the list. This next movie's on the list because I don't think this is a possession movie at all. It's Drag Me to Hell from 2009.
There is possession,
That's
There,
not.
yeah, I mean during the séance,
but
of
it's not
course,
a
but
possession movie. Yeah,
it's not a possession movie.
I mean,
I
I love the movie, but I wouldn't put it on the list.
it's
Exactly. I absolutely adore, like you said, almost everything I've seen from Sam Raimi,
Yeah,
and that is no exception.
right.
and of course
But I agree with you. It shouldn't be on the list.
it's a somewhat remake of Night of the Demons
Yeah,
based on Casting the Runes. Yeah, this is possession adjacent.
yeah.
If I was
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
So next up, number 14 is Ju-on.
Oh man, love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Mark?
I have no grudge against it, Jim.
Ha, ha,
What is
ha.
that?
I
So
actually
that,
really like the remake too. So that's where I think they didn't do a bad job of the remake.
Well, but again, the remake really chopped it. But at least they got the original director.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, it's not as good as the original, but
no,
it's not a train wreck.
no,
So
it's not.
Sarah,
I'll
It's
give it
better
to
than
Sarah,
Pink for sure.
Sarah Michelle Gellar did a very admirable job in
She
that
did.
remake.
She did.
I,
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 I
I really
appreciate
like her.
it.
and then well, I mean, she's always brought up in it, but she's a side character. They're all side characters
Yeah, they
I
are.
mean, I'm gonna go on record and say I like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie better than the TV show. But
Never seen the TV show.
So, funny story
wow,
about that. I absolutely adore the movie, and
yeah,
I would not watch the first three seasons of the TV show because I thought they were going to screw it up.
yeah, I did
So,
the same thing.
so many years later, after the series had concluded, I binged the whole thing, and I thought it was done really well.
Yeah, no, I did the same thing, and I did enjoy it. I still like the
Yeah.
movie better.
So, next on the list is Kisto's favorite director,
Oh God,
Insidious, 2010, James Wan.
yeah, no, trash.
See,
I'll,
I
I'll
didn't
give it.
mind this one.
I'll give it a 1 out of 10.
I
So
didn't mind the first one.
And the one is just because I don't want to give it a 0 because I'd feel bad.
so Insidious 1 and 2, I thought were fine. They're just, I think, they're poster children of this generic ghost Hollywood bullshit that's running.
Yeah, I literally groaned watching that movie. It
Yeah.
was
I think a lot of the draw for me was Barbara Hershey because I love her as an actress.
yeah, no, I mean I'll agree with that for sure.
Of course, she was in the Entity, Jim.
Shut up, Mark. And you're also going to bring up the fact I used to do her dry cleaning too,
Yeah,
right?
no, you bring that up.
Yeah, I think she's a fantastic actress. I and it's funny. So this is how detached I was when I saw the Entity, Mark. When I saw The Last Temptation of Christ as an adult, I did
Mhm.
not remember ever having seen Barbara Hershey naked before that film.
My therapy fees for this will be uh, will be sent to you.
I have an on-topic question.
Okay.
Have you seen the Japanese unofficial found footage sequel to Paranormal Activity? It's called like Paranormal Entity.
No.
Nope.
It's it's pretty cool. I think you should find it if you can.
I'll have
It's
to
not
check that
I
out.
have a recommendation. Have you seen Suicide Forest Village?
Suicide Forest Village.
Yep.
Um, I definitely have seen multiple movies on the Suicide
Right.
Forest.
Now, watch that movie. It's really good. It's done by the same guy that did Ju-on. And there's a
Um,
trilogy of movies.
wait, it's okay. I'm trying to think. He's another Takashi, right?
Suicide Village. Let's see. Suicide Forest Village. 2021.
Oh, so it's fairly recent.
Takashi Simuzi.
Yeah.
And there's also Howling Village, which was a sequel. But Suicide Forest Village is really good.
Did you watch The Forest?
Oh,
Yes, Natalie Dormier.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
I
pretty
thought that
good.
was okay. Yeah, it was perfectly fine.
Solid 6 out of 10. It's an enjoyable time.
It was okay.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
6 out of 10, 2 out of 10 ish.
That one I'd give a five probably. It just it
A
didn't excite me.
five. That's
Yeah.
almost in your top five horror movies of all time.
All right. What's the next possession film?
The next one is one of my favorites from the '80s. It's The Prince of Darkness.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good one.
It is.
Uh,
Under.
Mark, don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Yeah, I don't like.
Do not
to
bring
use
up that trilogy, or
underrated.
I will mute you.
I think undervalued Carpenter movie. I love the quantum physics and the religion melded together. Love it.
I agree. I thought it was
yeah, it's,
fantastic.
it's really good. I I think I give it. We're doing out of 10, right?
That's
Yeah,
usually what Mark does. Yep.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I give it an 8.5. Jim would give it a 3. No, hang on, Jim. Whoa. Did you say you give it an 8?
Yeah.
Okay, but that wasn't in your top five horror movies.
No, it doesn't mean it's not
He's
a good
never
movie.
gonna let it go.
And you gave Event Horizon a 6.
he's,
You don't know how to count, dude.
he's never gonna let it go.
No, because Mark is
It was
absolutely
part of
obsessed with the fact that any movie that I like that I think is one of my top movies, I have to immediately give it a perfect rating, and that is not the case. I love a lot of imperfect films.
Oh,
No,
I mean,
you
I
love.
don't know if there is a perfect.
Hang on. So everything's subjective, Jim, right?
Of
Yes.
course.
So whether you find it imperfect but you love it, then you give it a score that you love it.
No.
Yeah. No, I mean, I see both of your points, honestly.
Oh no! Don't give him any. He's a one of a kind.
I
So,
mean, I definitely think Event Horizon it's probably a 9 out of 10, honestly.
hey, Mark, what do you rate Dark Side of the Moon?
Dark Side of the Moon is probably a 6.5.
That's a 3, a solid 3.
No, hang on. I'm not talking about you and me disagreeing about rating about something because you love stuff and I hate, and vice versa. But you're talking about your own subjective top five.
I am.
So that's got nothing to do with how I rate something.
No, but I'm not going to rate something perfect just because I love it. I can still see its flaws.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, here's the difference. Okay, here's the difference. He's saying, I love it to a 10, but I think the movie is a 6 or a 5.
Right.
So, but you're saying rate it to your opinion of your feelings, not your opinion of the movie.
Right. I'm being more objective than you are, Mark. You're being far more emotional than me.
No. So you rate your movies on nostalgia. So if it's something you saw when you were a kid, so what would you rate a Nightmare on Elm Street?
Nightmare
The
on Elm Street's
first
a
one?
10 out of 10 for me.
Okay,
The
so
first one, yes, 10 out of 10.
effects suck a lot in that movie. Like
Do what?
the whole arms going out and stuff looks terrible right now.
Yeah, it does now. You're right.
Yeah, so why don't you rate it down?
Because I still, when I watch it, get the same feeling. I
Just
absolutely.
nostalgia. You just rate movies on nostalgia.
That is not true.
So why are you rating Event Horizon down for the effects, but you're not rating Nightmare on Elm Street down for the effects?
Because it still gives you the same visceral feeling when you watch it now that it did back then.
Lord help me, help me. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, you ready to go on? You ready to go on to the next one?
Please
Number 11 is
down
Pulse.
this rabbit hole of
Oh,
math.
wait. The original Asian Pulse.
Yeah, that's what it appears from here. Yes,
Oh my god, 10 out of 10. That's one of my all-time
I,
favorite movies.
I
Now,
did
the
not understand.
American version is a 1 out of 10.
I
It's
agree. I agree with the
complete
American
total
version.
trash.
I
I
haven't. I
I
haven't seen the original.
honestly didn't like the original either.
What?
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be a fan of Asian horror?
No,
Right?
I'm a fan of what I'm a fan of,
Get
right?
out
So
of here.
Pulse
You're
didn't. I mean, another movie which a lot of people love is A Tale of Two Sisters.
Yeah, it's
I
amazing.
watched, I watched that movie 3 times, thinking I missed something or maybe I wasn't in the right mood for it. Just didn't do anything for me.
Okay. Well, I have.
Yeah.
I can't take your word for Asian horror anymore. Anyway, Team Jim. Hashtag Team Jim.
Yeah, I'm good at
Yeah.
that. So next, you ready? You guys ready? We're getting into the top 10 here.
Ooh.
Okay.
So number 10 is Black Sunday from 1960.
Oh, the Mario Bava
Yeah, and
classic.
honestly, I was just talking to someone the other day that I like his stuff better than Dario Argento's. Um,
Bava
I,
kind of falls into the
it's kind of an unpopular opinion, but
Bava kind of falls into like Italian Hammer type thing where it's a lot about the atmosphere. And I
yeah,
like
yeah, like
Sunday and stuff I really like. I mean, Argento is a little different. I mean, there's
and Lucio
Italian
Fulci.
horror, yeah, Fulci, yes,
Oh,
Yeah,
don't get him started on Fulci, please.
or Diodato, Cannibal Holocaust.
yeah.
He made me watch The New York Ripper, and I will never be the same.
That
I
was Jim. I had Jim's never watched an Italian horror movie before, so I had to throw him into the deep end with the sleaze-tastic New York
yeah.
Ripper.
I mean,
It's fucking trash.
it's
Is it
it's
brutal, Jim?
it's definitely it's it's a stylized.
Mark gives me shit about the ghost rape in the entity, but yet he's fine with foot rape.
Well, Jim, you're not an 8-year old, and you're not my son.
That is true.
Just saying.
Wait, where's the DNA test to prove this?
Well, considering we're both the
It's a
same
lot
age,
older than
like,
me.
it might be a problem.
I mean, it could be different dimensions. You never know.
It could be. You never know. So
See,
number 9, we're gonna pull up. Um, I don't know. I don't consider this a possession movie either. It's a haunted house movie. The Amityville Horror from 1979.
Okay,
uh,
I mean,
man,
I get that they're going from the angle where George was quote unquote possessed by the house, but I never saw it that way.
I will tell you that in my list, I would put Amityville 2 in my top possession movies.
I would do 3.
I
Amityville 3.
honestly am not a fan of that franchise. I I was weirdly impressed by the Ryan Reynolds remake.
Yeah, it was good.
It,
Um, I've been to the Real House several times. I lived in Amityville, and the guy who lived there used to get really mad at people like coming to check out his house and hanging out on his lawn.
I like if I bought that house, I'd be selling tickets. I would be making. I wouldn't go to work anymore. I would just sell
Yeah,
tickets.
yeah, he was not
And,
that way.
and
He was just trying to live his life.
let's just say the Warrens are full of shit. That whole haunting bullshit is full of shit. But I would be making money off that.
But I mean, there's been so many things like people selling like the toaster from the original house, and like
Oh yeah, I mean,
I mean,
there's a sucker born every minute. You know.
yeah, exactly. And I I thought it was cool, to like to be there and be like, oh, this is the famous house or whatever. But like as far as the movies and like the actual like what the feeling the movies give you and the direction and the cinematography and the acting, like I wasn't feeling it.
I think part two is head and shoulders above every other one. And let's just say that that license, the
There's been a
Amityville,
lot. They
is
have
just
they have
like
made a lot of.
there's there's like 8,000 movies with the Amityville in it, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, you have Amityville Moon, which is a werewolf
But
movie.
it's a
Yeah,
I mean,
it, because
it's
it's like you could I could make a movie and put Amityville on it.
okay.
and
So go ahead.
and there's things in actual Amityville that are much scarier, like in real life.
Like real people.
Yeah. um, but yeah, no. So for me, it's probably a four. I'm not a fan.
When I thought it was a true story, it was definitely an 8 or a 9. But
But
it's
now it's a
definitely
two.
it's another movie that lost its potency over the years. I'm not a big fan anymore.
So
Yeah,
Jim,
like go back now and watch it and tell me it's a good movie. It's not.
It's not great. No.
it's an so that's kind of in that oeuvre of like the Omen and the Exorcist in the 70s, where
Hmm.
they were just trying to like hold on to that sort of. And I think it's like the first one's okay. I mean, if it's on the TV, it's not like oh my god, this is terrible. But I think part two is much better, and it's got that weird incest thing going on.
It does, which is weird.
Yeah.